Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on the old show today, we've talked a lot about the AMG GT machine from the folks over Mercedes-Benz. Now, you've probably seen one pounding around the Nürburgring Nordschleife loop, a number of other circuits, with a lot more aero downforce on it, not to mention looking like it may have lost a little bit of weight. Now, this particular machine was going to be a hot rod version of the AMG GT, and I thought, like a lot of people thought, that it was just going to be a Black Series edition, which is apparently not the case. Folks over at Evo Magazine had a little conversation with a fella who apparently has made an order for this brand new lightweight track focus machine, and he claims the car is going to be called the AMG GT GTR. So, that got me wondering. Remember when we talked about the Aston Martin Vantage GT3 that Porsche shamed Aston Martin into changing that Vantage GT3 to Vantage GT12? I wonder if the folks over at Nissan's going to have a little thing to say to the folks over at Mercedes-Benz for calling this car GTR. That being said, if they do build a Black Series, man, that must going to be an amazing piece of kit. Next up, in another wildly interesting situation, I talked about this particular machine a couple of weeks ago. This is the Henrik Fisker Galopin Autosports Thunderbolt. Now, I know it looks like an Aston Martin because it was built on an Aston Martin Vanquish platform. They actually just modified it and changed some of the bodywork and some odds and ends to kind of make it their own. And they were going to sell this special edition machine, well, to anybody who wanted to. And that was by order only. But you could order up, and Henrik Fisker and Galopin Autosports would hook you up with one of these machines. Now, here's the trick. Aston Martin knew that they were going to build this machine. Aston Martin also knows Henrik Fisker because he's an old designer of theirs. But they were under the impression that this machine was going to look way different than the Vanquish. So now, apparently, Aston Martin is suing Henrik Fisker and Galopin Autosports because they say this machine looks way too much like an Aston Martin Vanquish. So, it's going to be an interesting situation. And a little tidbit of what I said before, that this vehicle was being built to order and sold exclusively out of one dealership in the United States, in Los Angeles, California. And you may have guessed it by now, yes, that dealership is an Aston Martin dealership. So it gets a little bit on the deeper side. So, keep you in tune to what comes up with this lawsuit. Hopefully we'll know more a lot very soon. Now, if you've watched this particular program, you know I've got kind of a thing for the BMW i8. I don't know what it is about this machine, but I think it's fantastic to look at. Not much of an EV fan, but if I were to own one, it would be this car. Well, apparently, I'm not in the minority, because BMW has now doubled its capacity in its factory for building this particular machine to just try to hang with all the orders that are coming in from all over the globe. Yes, a very good situation to be in if you're Bavarian Motor Works. Now, in a more interesting thing, let's watch this in the future. Is this going to be a bunch of early adopters who are jumping on the bandwagon, own this car, and then the next couple of years the sales are going to piddle down to absolutely nothing? We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully it's a little bit more sustainable. Next up on the list, heard a little rumor that Lincoln was going to be building a brand new Continental concept and bringing it to the New York Auto Show, which is only in a handful of days, which got me trolling around the old internets and found this picture, a Lincoln Continental concept from back in 2002. Now, there's no real word on just what exactly this Continental concept is going to look like, but kind of hoping it looks a little bit like this, because I think this machine looks pretty doggone good. We can modernize it a little bit. Maybe this thing had some dead man doors on the back of it. Yeah, they had suicide doors, the doors that open backwards in the rear. Neat piece of kit. We'll have to wait and see what exactly Lincoln's got to show for us in the New York Auto Show. And I have to say, a little tip of the hat and big thanks for bringing back names to automobiles. This alphanumeric nomenclature that they've got on automobiles nowadays are terrible, especially Lincoln, the MKC, the MKZ, the MKX. I didn't ever knew what those machines actually were. Continental name is a great name, and I'm glad that they're going to bring it back. Hopefully it'll make it to the official automobile when it goes out for sale. Next up on the list, an interesting situation. Toyota is working on a common platform. Basically, they're going to have a platform where pretty much everything south of the Tacoma and Tundra pickup trucks is going to be based on. Yes, all their SUVs, all their automobiles are going to be built on this same platform. That reminded me because Volkswagen tried to do that a couple of years ago, and apparently that hasn't worked out very well for them. In fact, it's cost them more money than it would have been if they would have had a number of different platforms to share around. So we'll see if Toyota can make a better run at this than the folks over at Volkswagen, but it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. Last up on the list, in a two-parter little story, interesting situation if you're a fan of Formula One. Yes, the folks over at Renault actually build engines for Formula One cars. In fact, they only build them for 4 cars, and both of them are sponsored by the same energy company, that is Red Bull. That being their 2 teams, the Infinity Red Bull Racing and Toro Rosso, which is Italian for Red Bull. Now, both of these teams, all 4 cars, are the only cars on the grid running Renault engines. And over the past couple of years, after their massively successful 4-run championship in a row, thanks to this particular fella and the whole team in Infinity Red Bull Racing, Sebastian Vettel, that 4-in-a-row championships. But last year, Mr. Vettel was kind of taken out to the woodshed, roughed up by his much younger teammate, Daniel Ricciardo. Now, we're going to get to the back half of Vettel's story here in a wee bit, where I have to eat a little bit of crow. Now, in this situation, Renault has apparently not been doing a good job, and according to Infinity Red Bull and Toro Rosso, but then on the other hand, Renault claims that Infinity Red Bull and Toro Rosso haven't built very good cars, and in fact, the taping of this particular program is on the same day when both Red Bulls were actually lapped, and they got beat up by their junior team, Toro Rosso. So there's been a huge amount of, well, infighting that isn't infighting because it's been done in the press. Christian Horner, the head of Infinity Red Bull, has actually been going after Renault, telling them that their power units are terrible, and the Renault people have actually shot back and claimed that actually the car is no good, that isn't the problem in the power unit itself. This has gotten down to the point where Renault is actually talking about getting out of the sport. So is Red Bull. And then there's an even more interesting situation where apparently Renault may buy Toro Rosso, run the team as a factory team again, like back in the day of Fernando Alonso when they won the championship. Yeah, that would be an interesting situation, trying to take it to them. Now back to Sebastian Vettel here. When I got the word that he was going to a team that I really enjoy is Ferrari, I thought, you know what, with how bad he ran in that Red Bull last year, there is no way he's going to run good in that Ferrari, because Fernando Alonso, who is an amazing driver, was willing that car to just get into the points. But Ferrari has really turned the corner, and Sebastian Vettel is at the head of that corner, because the morning of the taping of this particular program, the Malaysian Grand Prix ran, and that Ferrari whooped them all with Vettel at the wheel, who was driving like a madman. So yeah, I probably got to eat a little bit of crow on this particular deal, but this has opened up a big can of fun for the rest of the 2015 Formula One season, to have Ferrari and Mercedes apparently being able to go head-to-head. It's going to be a whole lot of fun the rest of the year. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. If you want to jump on over to the Facebook page, the link's down in the show notes. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time and get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.